So I don't know. Did either of you guys catch this interaction I was having on Twitter yesterday with I don't know who this guy was. He's from Detroit.
Are you on Twitter?
No, I blocked you actually.
Oh, well, there's plenty of other people getting wonderful content from me every day. Wonderful, great. I quote retweet with the best of them. You know, I'm everything you want from a 44-year-old guy on Twitter.
Well, that's just there's no one better to follow than 44-year-old men.
So not
so I put up a tweet about joke about Le'Veon Bell making a stupid face when Brandon Cooks gets $16 million, and it got nice little attention. And a full day after it's up, some guy writes to me, "Well, they don't play the same position." I really want to write back, "Oh, thanks." But I decided
because everyone figures out tone on Twitter very easily, so that would have been good.
Yeah, so I figured, let me be nice and just be like, oh, yeah, we'll just have to see what Bell does next year and what he gets and da 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 da. And he comes back with some other, like, I said, do you think that Brandon Cooks is more valuable to the Rams than Le'Veon Bell is to the Steelers? And he writes back, kind of. And then gives I don't have it open in front of me, but he gives me some ridiculous explanation. And I said, in Brandon Cook's best season, he touched the ball 94 times. And last year, Le'Veon Bell touched the ball over 400 times. So now it becomes, I'm obviously dealing with somebody not very mature at this point because I'm getting a lot of LOLs. This guy is this guy. Bottom line, I ask him, who's more valuable? And he tells me you cannot compare positions in the NFL. You cannot compare a wide receiver to a running back. So one of you guys tell me why I cannot compare likely the very best running back in the NFL to a guy who's barely a top 20 wide receiver and is getting $16 million a year. Why can I not compare those two guys? And how in the world can you tell me that Brandon Cooks is even in the same stratosphere important to his team? Anyone? Anyone of you guys?
So you're looking at it from the complete and totally wrong viewpoint.
Are you agreeing with this guy?
No.
Yes. Yes.
No, what I'm saying is you're absolutely right. Lev Bell is far more important to his team than Brandon Cooks is to his. And any receiver for that matter, simply because of the amount he touches it. But that's not what you really need to be looking at when you're talking about contracts. That's not how the NFL looks at contracts. That's not how people get paid.
That's fine. Go ahead. Give me your explanation as to the how I'm supposed to look at the contract.
What's the highest contract value for another running back in the NFL?
I understand. So my response to that was it's $8.5 million and it's Devonta Freeman. Right. But my response to that was what Le'Veon Bell is trying to do now is break down a barrier of these perceived position values, right? So he's trying to set a precedent that, hey,
good luck to you.
So, right. It's going to be difficult. I was actually very surprised that the Steelers came up to where they came up to, the $14 million a year annually. Now, they guaranteed him nothing, which was really a kick in the ass, right? It was like they guaranteed him like $10 million.
Well, I heard 30, so it's somewhere in between.
I heard 30 as well.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody else had written that John DeBarry, if you're out there, you're watching this, you listen to
this. Yeah, no. It was all over the place as far as what was guaranteed. It was somewhere between 10 and 30. So you may be right, we may be right, but either way.
I honestly thought, okay, when they came up to $14 million, all right, it's not what some of these better than average wide receivers like Sammy Watkins and Cooks is getting. It's not, but it's so much more than the next closest guy, like you said, Kevin. And I thought it was a win for running backs, and I thought it would set precedent. And then, guys like Gurley and Zeke and David Johnson would follow suit and get more. And I was shocked after Le'Veon Bell put out the statement that I wanted to do nothing more than finish my career as a Pittsburgh Steeler, that he turned that down. I was surprised. So,
no, I mean, it goes to show you exactly how selfish of a man he is. And not only for the fact that $14 million isn't good enough for him when it's $6 million more than the next highest paid running back, but he also would have done, like you said, so much more for the next group of running backs to get a contract. He would have reset the bar, and he chose not to do that simply because he wants to be paid more than a position group of which he is not a part.
And it's I don't know if this factors into it a lot, but he's on a team that if you could pick, all the teams in the NFL that could probably be okay without Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers are probably one of them. Their offense, it does, losing a player like Le'Veon Bell, it doesn't help anybody, but they've played without him before. He's gone through injuries and all that kind of stuff. They've survived without him. And so for them to offer up that much money to him, to be a part of that offense, not many players get to be paid as much as they would like, or, not getting paid as much as he'd like, but get paid that much, be part of an offense, be part of a good team like that. He's going to, be a free agent next year. He's going to go to some team that's going to pay him close to $20 million maybe, and their team's going to be awful because they're not going to, that's not good cap management in the way that values work in the NFL today. So I don't think anyone can argue that Le'Veon Bell is a more spectacular player than Brandon Cooks. He is definitely more valuable to a team because of how much he touches the ball. But just like we say, this rule sucks, but it's a rule, so you got to follow the rules. The money might suck for running backs, but it is what it is right now.
By the way, gentlemen, the word might have been I was an idiot, or I have no sports knowledge at all because I was comparing. Touches.
I can't argue with him that you're an idiot.
Shut up, dipshit. I was
factually correct.
I was wrong for comparing touches, he told me. And so I responded. Oh, I'm sorry. He said to me, what is the yardage difference in per touch? I'm like, who is more involved in game script? Like, there's a game script for Le'Veon Bell in every game, right? Wide receivers don't factor into the game script like a running back does. A wide receiver doesn't come into play.
They might.
Yeah,
they might.
And Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr., DeAndre Hopkins, not Brandon Cooks.
I'm not saying Brandon Cooks does, but I mean, certainly the position could be one that needs to be focused on.
You're agreeing with him.
And not only that, but I mean, you see that on the defensive side of the ball too. Obviously, the pass rushers get the most money, but cornerbacks are important to every play. They get decent money, but not the same as the top pass rushers. Linebackers, who I think are probably some of the most valuable positions on the field, get historically low salaries. So
linebackers are actually like a dying breed at this point. No, I mean, it's like
so's the running back, Sal. Hate to tell you that. I mean,
no, but I think you're wrong because I think the running back is about to make a huge comeback with these players and these hybrid players, and
because there's good talent out there. But there will always be teams. But there will always be teams that are willing to say, "I'm not paying the running back. I'll just take the next guy."
Right. I understand what you're saying, but I think that it's going to actually change. I do think, and my prediction was that the team that's going to sign Le'Veon Bell next year, and because they're going to Las Vegas, will be the Raiders. They'll be the team that steps up and overpays for him to bring him to Vegas to make that big splash. And
they have Marshawn Lynch and Doug Martin, so they don't need him.
It's true. I'm hard pressed to pass on those two, but I could picture that happening. I do think he's going to get paid next year, and I do think it's going to set a precedent. I do think that these two-way players, these guys that can be factors in both the pass game and the run game, are going to start to get paid a lot more. And I think that's going to pose a problem for the NFL and cap structure and all that stuff. And I think they're heading for a really bad problem.
I would be beyond shocked if somehow he gets more than what he was going to get in this contract.
You don't think he'll get more than 14.5 anywhere?
Nope.
On a free market?
Nope.
Wow.
At that point, you're talking about a 27-year-old running back who probably is coming off 2 seasons with over 400 touches and back-to-back, and we've seen what happens when you do that. I mean, who's going to want to be the guy that pays him the contract that he doesn't fulfill?
Somebody.
Move on.
Somebody. They're all over. They're all over the NFL.
It'll happen. I'm sure it will. So before we move on from this topic, I will tell you the last thing that this guy said to me. He said, that's like trying to compare which Barber brother was the best. So I wrote, well, Rondé was the best. How could you compare running backs to quarterbacks? He starts running. I said one word: eyeballs. That's it. All you have to do is watch the NFL to know that Tiki Barber had a nice little run for a couple of years there with the Giants, but Rondé Barber was clearly the better overall NFL player for the length of his career than Tiki Barber was. But
well, I'm glad that you are alienating your Twitter fans, Sal. That's great. It's definitely a good move.
He was not a fan.
With all those new followers you got, that's good. Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah, they will quickly leave the feed. But you know why Sal has all those new followers, Steve?
Yeah.
Because of the Podathon. I mean, we have to talk a little bit about the Podathon. We gave you kudos at the start of the Podathon. I'm not sure a lot of people heard it. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not going to do it again because I really hate doing it. So, but I will let you.
I keep watching it. I have it on loop.
Of course you do, obviously. But I will give you a couple minutes here because I feel like we should tell everyone, give everyone an update what the final count was and how we ended up.
Yeah, so we had quite a few viewers actually at the beginning of the show. So people probably did hear you compliment me. Thank you, Kevin. Yes, so
once a year, buddy.
We thank you. Christmas comes once a year with Kevin. We left it open for a week. We left the donations open for a week. But when we finished the 24 hours, when we walked away from our chairs after 24 hours of wall-to-wall fantasy with tremendous guests and an amazing group of people watching the whole time.
Yeah, me.
Steve was there as well.
He watched the whole time.
The whole time. So we had about $4,200, I would say, once we were done with the 24 hours. And over the course of the next week, we brought in an additional $500. I turned $4,705 over to Scott this week. So great job by all three of us. Great job by all the guest sponsors that came on and donated money to have a frame of time on the show, and an amazing job by the donators who watched and felt moved enough to donate to this charity. And thank you so much to all of our prize donators as well. I had nearly enough prizes to give to every single person who donated. There's almost nobody who walked away without getting something.
Well, my mom.
That's
true. Your mom was.
Not only did
Mrs.
she not get a prize, but she won one, and it was given away to someone else.
Well, I have a feeling that Mrs. Joanne Cotillo did not have any need for the footballguys.com All-Pro.
She has a league.
I do have a gift I'm going to send to your mom. I do have something for her.
Keep it clean.
She doesn't want
she's
it.
Gonna get.
Keep it clean.
Does your mom drink wine?
Of course she does. Yeah. No, actually she doesn't.
What?
She drinks a lot of beer. No, not really.
All right.
Keep in mind the Italian side of the family is my dad's.
I had a perfect gift for her. So your dad drinks wine? She give me to your dad.
No, my dad drinks a whole lot of Jack Daniels.
Well,
I think I'd
clearly
like your
what's coming
family
out of
coming.
this is the Cotillos are alcoholics, but I actually have a few things to still give away. I have a couple of prizes to still give away, which is gonna be wonderful. But $4,700. We've got such a great response overall, both to the FLAFFL House guys, to me, to everybody involved, Scott. And I cannot wait till next year. We have over 300 days to plan next year, so I'm going to take the next 60 off. And and it's going to be bigger and better next year. People are looking forward. It's amazing. It just couldn't have gone better as far as I'm concerned. We had an idea. We put it together rather quickly, and it was successful. So thank you to you guys for joining with me, taking the time off of work. We all took 2 days off of work to do that. And I definitely could not have done that solo. So really appreciate having you guys there. And you guys did a lot of behind the scenes work.
Next year, it'll be 3 days off of work because I am too old at my spry young age of 32. That one day was not enough. I thought it was. I woke up on Wednesday to go to work, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck.
Yeah, it was rough. It was brutal. That Wednesday was tough. It was tough getting dragging myself into the office that day, but it was definitely well worth it. We had a blast. I mean, honestly, it was a lot of fun. Forget You almost forget that you raised $4,700 for charity because I probably would have done it for free. Now, let's raise more money next year. I'm not saying we're doing it for free, but it was a lot of fun. The guests were great, and even the people that hung with us when we were starting to get a little punchy towards the end. So,
I'll tell you what.
Did you guys? You want to know when I went back to work?
Like the following Monday, you took the week off for vacation.
Yeah,
The following
have you been back yet?
I went back to work this past Tuesday. I was off for like 9 days.
No, I remember you waking up later on Tuesday and being like, "I'm going out to the bar."
I went out to a place on Tuesday night. Oh my God, I got 5 hours sleep. Went out to this thing called Body English. Hello.
Yeah,
that was a good set.
Well then.
I'll say
then.
About 13 hours into that thing, I was very aware of where we were and how far we had left to go. Like, it was like, all right, we've been sitting here talking football. As soon as we were done, it felt like it had been nothing. Like, we got done, we got up, I went out to my living room. My family was all awake and sad that I was actually home. And it felt like the entire 24 hours was just like a blur. Like, it had gone over that quick. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I can't wait till next year to do it again.
Definitely going to be a blast. All right, so obviously the charity and the money raised was for tied into the Scott Fish Bowl. So I got to ask you guys, how are your teams looking? We started the drafts. We were drafting as we were going 24 hours, and then obviously we had to make draft picks after being up for 24 hours. So hopefully you didn't screw any of your first couple of picks off. Steve, we'll start with you. How's your team looking? What were your big wins, and what do you think your chances are this year?
I would love to think that I'm going to make the playoffs because I like the way that my team looks. I think that everything fell into place rather nicely.
You realize that if you are close to making the playoffs in like week 10, Scott will change the rules just to make sure that you don't.
That's fine. My team can adapt. All right. It's all about adjustments, mid-season adjustments. We got it.
Right.
No problem. So yeah, I think I got a pretty good mix of people. I didn't pick my first tight end until the 9th round. I think a lot of people probably went with the tight end earlier than that. And the tight end I did end up going with Jordan Reed. Not exactly the surest staple at the position. So
not quite a picture of health there.
No. So, most people will be like, just get Vernon Davis later. No big deal. Failed to do that as well. He went a little later than I was looking at some other people. I didn't end up pairing him up. I got Mike Gesicki as my second tight end. A lot of people are hyped up on him. Hopefully he can have an Evan Ingram type season. He's that type of tight end. So we'll see what happens there. Word out of camp very early that things are looking good. All right. So I like the balance that my team has. I think one of my best values, I got DJ Moore in the 14th round as wide receiver 56. As a guy that a lot of people are saying could, battle it out with Devin Funchess as that number one wide receiver on the team. I think that's pretty good value there. And, of course, I got Jake Butt, tight end of the future for the Denver Broncos. And I also added
future.
I was going to say, it's not a great pick if he's only going to be the tight end of the future. That really doesn't help you this year, does it?
That's true. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens. I think he's got a chance. And then Michael Roberts.
I was targeting Butt late, but I didn't get there.
No,
I zeroed in on the button, grabbed hold of it. I got him in the 17th round.
Yeah, I got him in the 16th, so 1609 for him. And then I finished off my draft with Michael Roberts. So I've got the two perennial tight ends of the FLAFFL podcast on my team for the tight end premium in the Scott Fish Bowl. If I win, it will be because of these gentlemen, and no one will ever hear the end of it.
How many tight ends did you guys end up with each?
I think I have 4 as well.
I have 4
Steve,
also.
the crown jewel of my tight end group is obviously Cameron Brate. I took a little page from your book
man.
there.
I was going for Brate. He got stolen.
Yeah, as good as Brate is, he was around in what did I get him? The 14th round, 15th round. So
severely undervalued.
And here I am sitting with OJ Howard on my roster.
Idiot.
I was going to take the 13th round.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
I was going to take Howard. He got taken a couple of picks before me. I ended up with Eifert and Brate and Ebron, obviously, and then Who did I round out with here? Tyler Croft, obviously, so to back up Eifert. So I think I got a good pairing there, which is good.
You know, what I found – go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, Stevie.
I had nothing nice to say about either of those tight ends.
Well, I'll tell you what I found interesting is I think that we've talked in some places lately about David Johnson kind of being somewhat forgotten about, or maybe there's like a bias against him, but I don't think that was the case in the Scott Fishbowl draft. In a lot of cases, we've seen him go number 1 overall. He went number 1 overall in my draft, and a lot of people were ecstatic to see him fall to 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, thinking he's the number 1 running back again this year. So it was good to see that. And what that allowed to happen was Le'Veon Bell to drop to me at 3. So you can't really say it was a great value, but considering the fact that he should be the number 1 player off the board, getting number 3 was a good deal for me. Getting Russell Wilson at the 210, a lot of people were mad at me for getting him there, thinking that he definitely should have been gone early 2nd round, and a lot of places went early 2nd round. So I thought that was really good value. And another guy who I got great value at the 303 was Christian McCaffrey. Both of you guys took him in the 2nd round. Is that right?
Yeah, 205 for me.
Where were you, Steve?
I got him at 209.
So
get him.
I did reach a little bit for him because there weren't many running backs left, and I went, Aaron Rodgers in the 1st round. So I had to make sure I grabbed a running back there, at least in my mind. So that's why I went a little higher than I think, but I still think you got good value there in the 3rd round, Sal.
He wasn't going to come back to you, right? It was a player you wanted. So sometimes you got to take a player a few spots early. If it's the guy you need, it's the guy you're targeting. All right, I might take him 5-6 spots before he's supposed to go, but I'm not going to get him 24 spots from now. So, 17 spots from now, whatever. So I got really good top of the draft value, I think. And I went very balanced the rest of the way. I think I got a nice starting 3 wide receiver trio with Thielen, Landry, and Jones, Marvin Jones.
Mine's better.
You have who?
I've got T.Y. Hilton, Jarvis Landry, and Brandon Cooks.
So you're going to start this Brandon Cooks crap again?
So I have Brandon Cooks with Amari Cooper. No Jarvis Landry for me. I have Crowder, though.
Crowder. Well, listen. So,
Say it.
So Jarvis Landry cancels out, Steve, right? In those 3.
Yeah.
You like T.Y. Hilton better than Adam Thielen this year?
I listen to a few smart people, not on this podcast, but throughout the week.
Clearly, you're moonlighting.
Everyone
I don't
keeps
know where
telling
you're
me.
getting these smart people, but I guarantee they don't like you.
He is going to be back. That he is going to play. If Andrew Luck plays this year, T.Y. Hilton is a borderline wide receiver 1. So I got him in the 4th round.
People to tell you that.
Listen, no one's going to believe shit if I say, I think that Andrew Luck's going to play. I have to reference smart people. So
What he meant was people smarter than him. They're not really smart. They're just smarter than him.
So I listen, I hope T.Y. Hilton has a good year. I took him in the 4th round of the Fishbowl last year. It was part of the reason my team sucked. But let me ask you guys this question. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on outside of the Podathon. We talked about Aaron Jones back then, or we talked about it on the Open Bar podcast, one of those podcasts. I took him in the 9th round. I do think that he will still be the guy when he comes back, the main guy in that offense when he comes back. My plan was to take him and then immediately take in the next round one of the other 2 running backs. But they went once I took Jones, boom, boom, those other 2 guys went. How do you think that's going to shake out there, Steve? I know you're a Jamal Williams guy from way back.
From way back last year.
Everything we're still hearing is that Aaron Jones is the guy that Aaron Rodgers likes the most, and is the guy that they feel is going to be the man in that backfield. What are your guys' opinions?
Yeah, I still like Jamal Williams just as of this point based on his ADP. You can get him a little bit cheaper. I took him in the 10th round, so not that far behind where Sal got Aaron Jones in the 9th. And I've said it before. You'd be crazy to say that Aaron Jones wasn't the more explosive, the shiftier player. He definitely seems like he does more with the ball in his hands. Last year, the case was that Aaron Rodgers kind of preferred Jamal Williams more because of his pass protection. We know Aaron Jones is going to be missing a couple games this year, but I mean, if things happen the same way that they happened last year, Aaron Jones stays healthy or is able to stay healthy, I could definitely see him taking over that backfield. But Jamal Williams is definitely somebody that he's going to have to contend with. He's a bruiser. He's a big back. He got the job done last year. So I think we're just going to have to see what happens. Those first 2 weeks, Jamal Williams goes crazy. That could be it. Aaron Jones might not get a chance. We've seen it happen before. So I think we just have to see what happens. They're all good values right now. You kind of just have to pick your poison and see how it plays out.
Unfortunately for both of you, you're both wrong. So you did
it's
it
Ty
wrong.
Montgomery.
I apologize for you. It is Ty Montgomery. Montgomery is the play here, and I'll tell you why. It's not. I think we talked about it on the Podathon. It's not just necessarily who's going to win the job and who's going to do that, because I don't know that anyone's going to outright win the job. I don't know they're going with one running back. So for me, I took Ty Montgomery, and I took him at 1308. Meanwhile, Jamal Williams went at 902, and Aaron Jones went at 910. So 4 rounds later, I get Ty Montgomery, who I think will have a share in that offense. And I was able to make other picks before that and still get a good piece of that offense. I think Ty Montgomery is going to be better in pass protection this year than he has been. You got to remember, he's still learning the position. Did
he not play the position in college?
No, he was a wide receiver.
Why would they put him? Why would they put him in it on a play where he's just going to use to block?
They're not, but he has to be able to do. He has to. One of the biggest gripes about Ty Montgomery was that Aaron Rodgers didn't think he was great in pass protection. I think that he will have worked on that considerably, and my hope is that he'll come back to camp and be a little bit better. He doesn't have to be great; he just has to be better so that Aaron Rodgers doesn't complain like a little baby. So I think that Ty Montgomery has a chance to get a portion of that offense, or at least I think he will have a portion of that offense all year. He has a good chance to get a significant portion of the offense, and I got him 4 rounds later than you guys took.
Well, I would have taken Montgomery. He went once I took Jones. The other 2 players, like I said, went off the board either in that same 9th round or in the 10th round. Neither one of those guys came back to me. Put it that way. I didn't have that opportunity in the 13th round. It's fantastic value. I could absolutely agree taking a shot at in the 13th round. I don't know that it's that much of a shot. I don't disagree with a lot of what you said, other than I do think that Aaron Rodgers has a lot to say there, and that I think there is some validity to the statements that he made. And I do have to go back and look. He played running back at some point in his life. I don't think it was
he may have
back in high school.
You're right.
He played in college.
He may have played in college a little bit. You might be right there, but
snap percentage battle. Snap percentage battle. The three of us.
We all have Christian McCaffrey, so we'll all be rooting for that. But we all have a different Green Bay running back, so it'll be interesting as we follow along throughout the fishbowl season. Let me ask you about a couple of these guys.
He's listed as a wide receiver in all of his college years.
Okay,
just throwing that out there.
Way to throw it out there, buddy. I'm going to ask you about 2 wide receivers I got in the 21st and 22nd round, and then I want to go back to a backup running back. But 21st round, I got a guy that's it's a Kevin favorite. And no, it's not either one of those 2.
John Brown?
It's Corey Coleman.
One of my old favorites.
Who we obviously know Landry and Gordon are ahead of him, right? But if either one of those guys get injured or
suspended.
Suspended, right? Or if Gordon falls off the wagon, Coleman becomes a starting wide receiver, and he's going to be the number 3 wide receiver in there. And the coaches are saying this is a make or break season for him. So I really feel that's tremendous value in the 21st round. I think that if I had taken him, he might not even have went. How could Corey Coleman have fallen that far off of everybody's radar in a year?
Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry.
And David Njoku, Duke Johnson,
Nick
Chubb,
and Carlos Hyde. And
I get it. I get it, but he's the last guy out of all those guys. He would be the last guy to take.
He may be the 3rd wide receiver on the team, but he's probably the 5th option in the passing game. In all honesty, I'm not even joking.
Options.
I'm not even joking.
You know, I like Njoku, so I get it. I'm
just saying. So if he's the 5th option in an offense, who, by the way, is going to start the season with a quarterback that threw for 3,300 yards last year, that just doesn't scream a whole lot of volume for a guy that hasn't shown it yet.
I have a feeling that he's going to be seeing less coverage than Landry and and Gordon.
You
I
can't
think
double
he's gonna
cover
find
both of
himself
them.
You can't double bubble.
My point
You
is,
can't triple stamp a double stamp.
how often do you think? How often do you think Tyrod Taylor has gone to his fifth option? Just out of curiosity, honestly.
Yeah, in Buffalo, there were two options.
Right. My point is,
Sean McCoy and Clay.
He's probably not very experienced in getting through 5 different reads. Is my point. So
I'm just Tyrod Taylor short.
I think that in the 21st round, why not? Right? Because my 21st round.
That's my point.
My 21st round pick was CJ Procise. So I mean. At a certain point, you're just throwing up guesses, right, and hoping that something sticks.
What about this one? I've got a low end wide receiver I took in the 20th round who might be comparable. Who would you rather have, a Corey Coleman or a Mac Hollins?
Corey Coleman, hands down.
And me, the Mac Hollins fan, agrees with Kevin in this one.
Mac Hollins is like the 8th option in that offense. I mean, he's not even on the board. He will see the field way less than Coleman will.
Mac Hollins is a guy I own. I own Mac Hollins in a lot of dynasty. I will not own him in a single redraft this year. I don't think he sees any time.
Why not? Because if Alshon Jeffrey gets hurt,
they also have Mike Wallace
and 4 other wide receivers.
Oh, Mike Wallace.
Yeah, Mike Wallace could still play in the NFL. He's still a better NFL player than Mac Hollins at this point. Don't make me go against Mac. Don't make me do it. I like the Mac.
I asked our good friend Shane Manila about Mac Hollins because I was curious what the Philadelphia take was on him, and I asked him. I specifically said, "Is Mac Hollins a thing?" And he was like, "No, Mac Hollins is nothing."
So he's equal with Corey Coleman right now. That's great.
Yeah, right now, but I would say equal, but Corey Coleman's better.
All right,
we'll see.
Here's a guy I got in the 22nd round.
Oh boy,
Taylor Gabriel.
Here's a guy. You hear about this guy? You guys hear about this?
you ever heard about Taylor Gabriel? Let me tell you about Taylor Gabriel.
This is my guy.
Let me tell you about my guy. I tell you about my guy Gabriel.
It was in Cleveland over there.
Sal just went all New York on us, huh? What happened?
And then
you know this guy.
He's in Chicago. You know this guy. You know what I'm saying?
You know this guy. All right, this guy from the neighborhood, right?
This
guy from the neighborhood. His name's Gabriel.
Already. Let's talk about the Chicago offense. All right, obviously you got Tariq Cohen, you got a couple of tight ends there, you got this Allen Robinson joker. Who's going
to throw him the ball?
You got with the Trubisky hate.
Listen, I don't mind I don't mind Steve's hot take Trubisky hate. That's fine. I like that he does it because it gives someone has to, right? Someone's got to throw shade that way. But here's the thing. I'm not a big Gabriel guy. I thought that he had a chance to be, a decent, middle of the road wide receiver 4 in Atlanta. In Chicago, I don't know. I mean, I think he's more of a special teams player than anything else. I don't know how much volume he's gonna get.
They gave him a pretty decent contract to not use him. You know what I mean?
And then they drafted Anthony Miller, who's way better than him.
That's your
Anthony
opinion
Miller.
Right now. Of Anthony Miller.
No. Oh, no. It's factual.
Who knows that Anthony Miller is ready to step in his rookie season? And rookie wide receivers are hit or miss, right? We've had a few lately that we've all been, and this has been said recently, we've all been spoiled by that class with OBJ and those guys when they came in. That now we think every year we've got these great rookie wide receivers. It really hasn't happened that much in the recent years since then. So what I'm saying, the 22nd round, I think that Atlanta went away from him. He had that big second half of the year 2 years ago, and then for some reason Atlanta just didn't use him last year. It didn't make sense to me. I think the guy's
Kevin White.
Oh my God, have mercy, Kevin White.
I kept telling everyone in the FLAFFL chat that he was one of the fake players that Scott put in there.
That's funny. I almost drafted Kevin White with my last pick. I went John Brown instead because, John Brown, but Kevin White was in consideration. There's a chance. I mean, if the guy stays healthy, he was talented.
That's the thing.
A decade ago.
Sal just mentioned all of these. List all of the wide receivers that have been taken in the first round since that year with Mike Evans and OBJ. It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal.
And Anthony Miller wasn't a first round wide receiver, right? But
he's very good, and The receivers that came out, here's the difference, Sal. The receivers that came out this year, they're not your typical X receiver. They're not your big guys. They're not the guys that are going to be asked to dominate physically and control an offense. They're your wide receiver
None of them?
twos.
Cortland Sutton's not that guy?
He is, and he's the one that I would say isn't going to do much this year. So, personally, I think no, but that's what I mean. Like, so Cortland Sutton is, and I guess DJ Moore, people are projecting to be that, he's not that type of player, but he'll be that dominating force, I guess. But I think that the other guys that you saw, the Kirks of the world, Christian Kirks and Calvin Ridley and Anthony Miller, these are the type of guys that are wide receiver twos or slot wide receivers, which I think have a better chance to produce in year one because they'll be asked to do less in that they aren't the focal point of an offense. They're an outlet.
Who's a better asset in the? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that those guys will make the impact in year one. I think they're all good dynasty owns. Kirk, I have a lot of Christian Kirk ownership, so I'm happy with that. Before we move on, Kevin, you could discuss your team a little bit more.
No, we don't need
I get to talk?
No.
I saw Jalen Samuels go really kind of early, in my opinion, and I don't think Jalen Samuels is going to make the impact as a rookie, number one, especially if Bell plays, because we know how much they go to one running back in that offense. But if he was to go down, Bell, or hold out, or whatever the issue was, how did everybody forget about James Conner from last year? Has anybody seen the workout videos of this man? Like, first of all, let's just go to the mental psyche of a guy who beat cancer, kicked cancer's ass, and came back like a beast in college. And now in the pros, he got injured last year, but the guy to me is just like a physical freak. And I grabbed James Conner in the 20th round to back up my left Bell pick. I'm very happy with that. And I don't see anybody else being the next man up, not even Stephen Ridley, Kevin, being the next man up in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's just mean.
If Bell was to go down.
He's just not smart. It's just not a smart assessment.
Really has a chance. Here's the thing with Connor. It not so much just the injury last year that people forgot about him, but the reports weren't great before that. He was struggling to pick up the offense. He wasn't great in pass protection. I mean, he's unfortunately getting compared to Le'Veon Bell, which is obviously not fair in any way, shape, or form for a rookie, let alone any other player in the NFL. But I think the reports were not great to begin with, and then he got hurt and missed a lot of time. So I think and then they drafted Jalen Samuels, which you have to wonder, are they investing more draft capital when they, if they knew that Connor could be the backup? Why are they going to spend another? What'd they spend on him? A fourth round pick?
It was a fifth round. It was a fifth. Yeah, Samuels was a fifth round pick. Yeah.
So I mean, you're going to spend another fifth round pick on a guy that, especially when you have Stephen Ridley in camp. You don't need to draft anyone.
Credibility out the window.
That's why people are saying, the draft and free agency, you got to keep them separated a little bit more so you can.
You got to keep them separated. Hey, I know it's show's opening with tonight.
God! As soon as I said it too, I knew it. I knew that was coming. In my draft, personally, James Conner went ahead of Jalen Samuels. Jalen Samuels did not go too far behind him. I was upset that Connors went because I was going to add him. And I think that was the day that all of that Lev Bell stuff came out. Oh, he's going to miss half the season. He's going to sit out all these games. And James Conner, ADP, probably shot up 50 points that day. So, yeah, I think either
that's
way.
the thing, right? And in a Scott Fishbowl, that's always the thing, right? Like the McCoy news came out literally the second day of the Scott Fishbowl draft after McCoy had gone off the board. And I heard Ryan McDowell say on Bull Rush this week that he had took McCoy before the news came out, and when he posted his team, people hit him up on Twitter going, "Oh, the McCoy pick was bad." He's like, "No kidding, it was bad. I took him before all this BS came out about what he did, And
actually,
let me just say, if he was involved in all that, he should be thrown out of the league and arrested and all that stuff. So that's going to be interesting to find out what goes on there, and that's why Chris Ivory is a huge value.
The Tusk rides again.
Yeah, it's funny that all the people in the Scott Fishbowl get all irritated that the drafts are taking so long or to get started, or you're waiting around for your pick. But the people that had to wait didn't draft McCoy, so there's pluses and minuses there. Samuels in my draft went round 17. Connor went back down in 20, I think.
Yeah, that's where I grabbed him too. Yep. All right. So
So-
it seems like it was pretty much across the board that way. Steve's was opposite, but Steve's doesn't matter.
You know who I grabbed with my 1908 pick right before, or a couple of
Dante
picks
Moncrief?
before? No, a couple of picks before Connor. This is a Sal special here.
Oh wait, hold on.
It's not Michael Roberts either.
No. He would have been available a little bit later for you, even though I
Is
took
it
him
any
in
other guy that's ever played football ever?
Right. It is an NFL player, so
is
it's
it a
obviously
person?
one of Sal's guys.
This could be just about anyone.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Options
Go
are
ahead.
endless.
It is Spencer Ware. Within
Oh, hey.
which, by the way, in the 19th round, I think that's if anything happens with Kareem Hunt at all, he's going to be rock solid.
Agreed.
Yeah, you're not getting starters in the 19th round, so you got to start picking guys that have a path to touches, right? And he's got a path to touches. If there's an injury, he's the next man up. Although Damian Williams is there now. You remember Damian Williams from Miami last year?
Yeah,
was
I remember.
touchdowns, right?
I remember. That's why I picked Tavon Austin.
Crickets.
Right.
Insert
Yeah,
crickets here.
let's just move along from
What?
that one.
That wasn't even a joke. I actually took him.
I know. I saw that on your roster. That's embarrassing for you. You shouldn't bring that
A
up.
few weeks ago, I was on the Tavon Austin thing. I think I'm getting off.
Nope. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah. So I like obviously.
Sorry, Kevin. We're out of time for SFB talk. Let's move on to something else.
Let's move on to something else. Look, I like the fact that I got my trifecta of wide receivers. I have John Brown, I have Tyler Lockett, and I have Dante Moncrief. So I'm all set. That's all there is to it. I'm all set.
Oh,
Did you
that's
actually
crap.
draft any wide receivers you could start?
No. Brandon Cooks. No, I have Cooks, Cooper, and Crowder are my 3 starters.
What a craptacular.
Nelson Aguilar is like another guy that I grabbed as well. But outside of that, it's all long shots. John Brown, Tyler Lockett, Moncrief, and John Ross. So
I was
a
just
lot of
John Ross. Kevin.
Yeah.
You like John Ross? I got him in the 19th round for him. Is there any, I mean, do people forget he was one of those high-end wide receivers drafted last year? He was a top 10 pick. And
2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? No.
Nope.
That was last year.
Nope, it was 2 years ago.
It was not.
John Ross?
Yeah, I really think you're wrong here, Sal.
He's going into his 3rd season.
2017 first round pick.
You're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, you are very wrong.
Oh, John Ross. I'm thinking of I am wrong. I was thinking of somebody else.
Yes,
Who are you thinking of? Rick Ross?
He was thinking of no one. He's correcting now. It's fine.
No. The other Cincinnati wide receiver that you actually liked a couple of years ago.
Tyler Boyd.
Oh, Tyler Boyd. Yes.
I was thinking of Tyler.
Big year for Boyd coming. Big year for Boyd coming.
So I apologize.
Tyler Boyd's going to be a Scott Fishbowl waiver wire special, by the way. So he's going to be one of those guys.
$1.
I hope not, because that would probably mean John Ross has either injured himself for the entire season again or is completely useless, right? So
maybe it's
you
AJ
like John
Green
Ross
that went down, Stephen.
No.
Your other boy.
No.
Look at that face. Look at him. Look at that face.
Not
It's like I punched him in the ding ding.
Good, because there's like 3 people watching, so you know.
That's right.
Well, Kareem loved the Rick Ross comment, by the way. He is laughing it up in the chat about Rick Ross.
Of course.
All right. All right, Kareem.
Oh man. Not a whole lot of other stuff from my draft that we really need to talk about. Like I said, I like Christian McCaffrey in this format. I think that he's going to get a lot of first downs. I think that he's going to catch a lot of passes. So I was big on him. Like I said, I reached for him a little bit. Ended up being able to get Jordan Howard as the second running back. And my 2 quarterbacks I'm really happy with Rodgers and Stafford. So we'll see. I took long shots at the wide receiver position. I kind of always end up doing that. So it's sort of a typical roster that I have. So I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it going in, and I'm sure that I will finish poorly. So,
Kevin, you brought up Jordan Howard, and I was on the Fantasy Life app the other day and jumping in the main feed there and answering some questions and getting involved in some posts. And someone was discussing Jordan Howard to Jerick McKinnon. And I mean, the Jerick McKinnon hype, listen, I have him in the FLAFFL Assholes Dynasty, and I hope he has a wonderful season. But to take a guy like Howard, who has finished top 10 his first 2 years in the league in standard and top 12 in half-point PPR, and just dismiss him and say it's Jerick McKinnon, I mean, what is the Jerick McKinnon stuff just completely out of control at this point? He's not value anymore, right? He's going way too high to be the big steal and breakout player this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's not. I get the sentiment, right? I think that it's a Shanahan offense, and he's going to be the main guy. They paid him a lot of money. We actually talked about him on the Dynasty Wall Street podcast that was released this week. But and Nick Whalen was on the show, and he brought up a lot of good points. He's a little triggered on Jerick McKinnon right now because it's just, and same thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. He just there was value for those guys before they got to the point they're at now, and now they're being overdrafted and overhyped. And you don't know what they're going to do. The thing with McKinnon is if you look at his history with Minnesota, he failed to beat out some very average running backs. You're talking about guys like, I was saying guys like Matt Asiata. He split carries with Matt Asiata.
Yeah.
Terrible. He never really excelled. And I get it. He's he's the spark warrior. He's got incredible metrics, but I don't know that they're necessarily paying him to be, the guy. I think they paid him because they had a lot of money they had to spend this year. And it's a very front-loaded contract. It's one that they can get out of. They'll see for a year. If he doesn't hit, there's really no loss there for them. So, I mean, I think he'll get a chance, but I also think Matt Breida and Joe Williams will get chances.
Jeremy
Don't
McNichols.
say it, Steve. Don't say it.
Jeremy McNichols. Isn't Kyle Juszczyk on that offense too? Like, didn't they pay him a decent amount of money? So I mean,
pass catching fullback got
right. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's guys there that they're going to use that if McKinnon struggles at all, they're going to bring these guys in and not have any problems with it because they don't care.
Yeah, the people who think he's going to step in and be Devonta Freeman are just, I don't see it.
If he was Devonta Freeman, he would have already excelled in an offense by now. He's had enough opportunity to be that guy if he was that guy. So I'm completely with you.
Freeman did it. I remember.
Garbage.
I remember when he burst onto the scene and made everyone recognize who he was. And I remember Jerick McKinnon being that guy that was supposed to do that for a lot of years in a row, like Kevin said. And yeah, he had a good season last year when he filled in for Dalvin Cook, didn't beat out the rookie going into the season. So there's another guy. So yeah, he's got the opportunity, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Hey, Kevin, I know we wrote a couple of things down to talk about, but we are doing this live, and we do have some people on the YouTube chat that are following along. And we got a question, and since you talked about McCaffrey a little while ago, how do we feel about C.J. Anderson being the starter in Carolina, and will his ADP shoot up? Do you think that C.J. Anderson is the starter? I mean, are they co-starters? Have we seen this C.J. Anderson thing before? How do either one of you guys feel about C.J. Anderson affecting McCaffrey's value? They did come out and say there's a good chance he's not going to get more touches.
I mean, I think personally, we've heard stuff like this before when camp's starting. So take it for what it is. I'm not going to call it coach speak because it was really more speculation on the part of a reporter. If I remember the report correctly, I believe the reporter was suggesting that was what the case was going to be. It wasn't something that the coaches said. So look, I think they brought C.J. Anderson to get carries. I think that they brought him in so that they could use him in the similar role that they used Jonathan Stewart. I also think that they're going to give Christian McCaffrey more carries no matter what they say, because I think he will excel a little bit better than he did last year with those carries. We're talking about a guy that only got 125 carries last year. I think it'll be very easy for them to give him another 25 to 40, 50 carries, right? So you're talking, if he gets in that 150 to 175 range, with the amount of passes that I think they're going to throw his way, which I think will top 100, right? At least targets. And I think he'll come close to, I've said this already, I think he'll come close to 100 receptions. I think there's serious value there. I think C.J. Anderson is a good running back for that offense. I think he'll probably get in this, 185 range for carries. That's my guess. Maybe he gets up to 200, which is around what Jonathan Stewart had last year. So there's value there.
I was going to say, Jonathan Stewart had a productive fantasy season, really more at the front half of the year. He kind of faded down the stretch. But, yeah, they were able to support two weekly startable fantasy football running backs in that offense.
And I think the other point is based on Cam Newton, right? I know that he does a lot of it on his own, but I also think that you're going to see less of those design runs because it does take a toll on him. He's been able to do it for a number of years now, and I think that's great, and he's very good at it. But I think at a certain point, with the weapons that they're putting around him, I think they're starting to realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't get our quarterback's head bashed in every week. So,
when you say the design runs, but I just don't know that it's in his nature to not play that way, right? I think that he's gonna still make those runs. He's gonna still play like that, and what he'll probably end up doing is shorten his career.
well, I understand that he'll make his runs, right? But he carried the ball almost 100 times last year. They weren't all scrambles, right? I think he's going to scramble. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you cut, like I think I said before, I think the scrambles are probably maybe 50% of it. So you're talking half and half. If you can get rid of half of those design runs, you're talking about another 25 carries that are going somewhere else.
And especially,
Steve's going to talk. All right.
Whoa, Steve.
What, you guys want me to just try and interject all the time? You guys were on a roll. I was letting you go. I was going to say, a lot of his runs, the design runs especially, are on the goal line where, the trenches are lined up with all kinds of guys. And it's, those are a lot of hard collisions on the goal line or on a 3rd and short. Like, those are the type of design runs that they need to try and get rid of. And if they start giving those to CJ Anderson instead, that would be fine. I agree with Kevin. I don't think that they could really give McCaffrey the ball less. They would kind of be wasting his talent at that point, only utilizing him much like, the Browns do with Duke Johnson, only using him as a pass catching running back. And not to mention the things that you can do to a defense if you don't only run one running back in the backfield when you're going to pass the ball every time. Try to confuse them a little bit. It might end up helping. I don't understand why more players don't do that or more teams don't do that. But yeah, that was it. All right, I'm done again for the rest of the podcast.
I'll say this. I believe it's Fallon who's in the chat right now who says CJ Anderson will find the end zone more than Christian McCaffrey. That's possible, but I think Cam Newton will still lead the team in rushing touchdowns this year.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I'll say that's probably true in rushing touchdowns. I would probably say combined touchdowns, McCaffrey will have more than CJ Anderson.
Steve, do you think McCaffrey will have more than, what did he have, 7 total touchdowns last year? You think he'll have more than that this year? If you're thinking, so you already answered my question, because if you're thinking about it that hard, you think that's probably a good over-under, right? He should be right around there.
Yeah, I would say, if it's over, it's just by 1. I would only say 1 or 2.
I'd say 8.
That's fair.
Yeah, I would say I would expect him to get more yardage this year. I don't think they used him enough in the run game, and we saw, we brought up Cam Newton accuracy problems of short passes, a lot of missed opportunities that we saw there as well. So I just think that he could be a little more efficient, and I think the team will try to utilize that a little bit more.
All right. Well, we had a whole list of other things we were going to talk about, but it's been about almost 50 minutes in now. So I think that we're going to get rid of all those, and none of them are really all that important anyway. So
you don't want to talk about Ricky Steele-Jones peeing? No.
Oh no, I didn't want to talk about it. I mean, we can talk Shane Vereen. You want to talk Shane Vereen?
Oh yeah, if you want to talk about a guy who's has no bearing on fantasy football, sure.
Yeah.
Or you mean the RB1 in the Saints backfield?
Listen, Sal. This is a fantasty football show. So, I don't know. We can talk about anything we want, but we'll save that for next week. Steve, why don't you just hit it with your final thoughts?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, or the few people that have watched this live for the first time. I think this is the first time we've done this for one of our actual podcasts. So thank you. And you can also check us out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Falafel House on each of those social platforms. And don't look for Falafel House right now. I guess that's it.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit. We did take the website down. Currently, it is down. We're working on that. We'll probably we're not sure, but we're pretty sure it'll be up and running again soon. So new look. It'll be slightly redesigned. We're gonna update it a little bit. But we're working on it. So down for construction, we'll call it.
Two things here. I want to say shout out to Jimmy Garoppolo, who became my new favorite quarterback today. Already so much better than Tom Brady and that little do-gooder BS that he does. Way to go, Jimmy G. You're a man. And just one more time, shout out.
First
to
of all,
everyone who
wait.
donated.
I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
I'm
Lord.
sorry. Let's
Oh.
just. I know. I want to ask you because you went that direction with it. Would you take the Jimmy G girl or the Tom Brady
If you
girl?
want, if you want to talk about just body, I would take the one that Garoppolo was with today. Yeah,
Oh,
because
you are way
Jimmy
wrong.
G going where many
Many people have gone before. All right.
going where someone else probably was just last night.
Right. Or 10 minutes before he picked her up.
Hey, I just got off work. Where were you?
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Just meet me on it. Just meet me at work. It's fine.
That's the thing.
We
He
can do
called
it
her
right
and
here.
she picked up and was like, "Yeah, I'm just finishing something up at work. I'll be done in a minute."
You just want to get drinks? I'm full.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
All right, Sal. What's your
So
second?
it's kind of tough to go to the charity thing after that. But
Oh man.
I had someone reach out to me today. We gave away the third of the RotoWear T-shirts, and the person reached out to me. I think it was Devi Distributor on Twitter, and said to me, "I want to donate another $15." And I said, "Thank you so much." But at this point, if you guys are following along, and I know Kevin will go into the charity thing next, just go right to fantasycares.net and donate there. You know, we shift our focus now from the Podathon donate to fantasycares.net. It just, the money's going to the same place anyway. And we did a great thing, $4,700, wonderful. Now let's just, filter it right to Scott the rest of the way and continue to donate. Fantastic job, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. As I always mention, add a charitable aspect to your fantasy playing experience. You'll truly enjoy it. It'll make it a better experience for you. And you can go to fantasycares.net and you can sign up for different leagues, different things. SFB 9 satellites, I think he's got going on right now. So it's pretty awesome stuff. Go to that site, check it out, and thank you for everyone who stepped up to donate prizes, to donate money, to donate their time watching a horribly run 24-hour podcast. We really appreciate it.
You shut your mouth.
We will be back. I'm going to say next week, even though I haven't discussed that with my co-hosts here. We're going to try to be a little bit more regular with these podcasts. We've been doing some other things lately. Hopefully you're checking us out on all our social media and finding all that other stuff that we're doing. But rededication to FLAFFL House is coming. So please stay with us. And until then, Steve, hit the button.